What's going on, Port fans? Welcome back to another video on my channel, and today we're going to be previewing Port Adelaide's round 23 clash against the Western Bulldogs this Friday night at Marvel Stadium. It is the biggest of games for the year, heading into finals next week. As we know, the final series will start from next week. No more pre-finals bye. That'll be moved to the later part of the finals series. So this game is crucial to making sure that we get our everything sorted, everything ready to go, and a very big chance to be finishing top 2 and possibly a home final next week. So without further ado, let's get straight into this round 23 preview. So before we get into the nitty gritty stuff of this game, let's tick off a few of the boxes, and let's start off with the news of the week. Obviously playing finals next week, no pre-finals bye, which means a straight into it from round 23, which, you know, it's kind of interesting because there could be the potential that our game next week, regardless of where we finish, whether it's top 2 first, wherever in the top 4 we finish, could be a Thursday night game, could be a Friday night game, and that could possibly be as well at the Adelaide Oval, which will be absolutely crucial to Port Adelaide's chances going deep into finals. A home qualifying final, just like last year, for a chance to lock in a prelim final at home will be crucial, and a chance to go one step further after last year's heartbreak in the prelim against the Tigers. So all things to play for, a lot of things falling into place, because if the bye does indeed come before the grand final, which I believe it should, considering, you know, concussions and a break for the players and all of that, you know, they get the opportunity to have a week. Both grand final teams have a week's rest, an extra week's rest. And the build up to the grand final is so much more, which is a great thing. Just like the Super Bowl as well, will be a great thing for the game. And hopefully that is the case, and not before a prelim final, because that just, you know, takes away the advantage of probably playing a prelim final as well at home, because you're spending an extra week waiting for to play. Eventually we have 2 weeks off without playing a single game of football before, you know, your prelim final, and the disadvantages in that is just not good for a home prelim final team. You've earned the right to get the advantage of playing at home, having the week's rest, and to have 2 weeks off in that period without playing footy would be a very strenuous and a tough thing to do. So I think before the grand final, definitely it should be the bye. That's the other thing as well, is we're playing the Bulldogs. There's a very good possibility we could play the Bulldogs again next week, and it's a big game at Marvel Stadium. It's going to be a massive opportunity for us. Again, we haven't lost at Marvel or in Melbourne this year, which is a great thing for us, considering we've had to travel a fair, played home games at Marvel Stadium, and we've sort of made it something of a little bit of a fortress this year for us. And with no crowds, again, it does pose a big opportunity as well, because I think we've played quite well under the conditions of no crowds, under the roof. We've been able to adapt, and it's going to be a fast-paced game, this one. Hard deck. I know that our defensive unit will be cut out massively. There's no Josh Bruce for the Dogs, so that's a positive for us. Not a positive for him, obviously, with his ACL a couple of weeks ago against Essendon, but they still have some firepower down there, and we know about their midfield. The Western Bulldogs have one of the best midfields on paper. It's just a matter of whether or not they turn up. Their contested game hasn't been that great lately, hence the losses to Essendon, hence the loss to Hawthorn, and they've been sort of coasting a bit in the last few rounds. So whether or not that is a sign of things for them, the drop-off has been not as bad as some teams previous years or so, but I'm hoping it's another drop-off for another week, and the Dogs don't bring their A game, or they do bring their A game, we bring ours, and we're able to match it and finally beat one of the top 4 teams, because I think this is a better opportunity than anything to beat one of the big 4, which has been Geelong, Melbourne, the Western Bulldogs, and us. And Brisbane have been there or thereabouts as well. So it's a massive opportunity for us to make a statement going into finals. We haven't been rated at all throughout the whole year. We haven't been rated till now. We're not rated going into finals. You know, you've seen these lists of rankings and the top 4s from experts in the media, and they've come out and they said, oh yeah, Melbourne. They've said the Bulldogs are in there. They've said Geelong are in there. Brisbane are finding form. You know, they're beating up lowly ranked sides, but that's okay. Port Adelaide's doing the same thing, but that's completely different. We're pretenders and flat track bullies, and we're beating the sides we should. The other teams are not beating the sides they should, and yet we're the ones that aren't rated. But take that as what you will. It is a complex situation in the media at the moment, whether or not you rate Port Adelaide internally. I know I've been speaking to a few people, a few well-known Port fans, a few people around the club and stuff like that, and there's a quiet confidence about the group at the moment. They're very well drilled, they're very organised, they're very football orientated, and it's all about the process. They've been building. The last 8 weeks we're top of the ladder. 7-1, our percentage is really good. In the last 8 games or so, we've been able to tick things off. The only team we lost to was Melbourne, and this is a chance now. This is the opportunity for Port Adelaide, and I keep saying it because with a full squad, this is a full strength team we've got now. We've got players coming back. Mackenzie and Motlop are still available. Whether or not they make it into the side is a tough ask after a 95-point drilling last week. And you're going to have Scotty Lysette, who, according to all reports, is a well and fit, ready to go for this Friday night's game. It's a light session this week, so we need him. He's crucial to taking it up against Team English and co. And you look at the last time we played the Dogs, we were very undermanned. We lost Tom Cleary early on. He's back again, and we had no Butters, we had no Dersma. There was a few others that were out as well. It was a completely different looking side, and none of the players that are in as good as form as they are now were back in round 9 against the Dogs at home, and that's what makes this whole game a whole different perspective. A lot of people, even the tab betting and everything like that, all the bookies have Port Adelaide as underdogs going into this one, and that's the way we like it at the moment. I'm more than happy to not to be talked about. To come into this one, we're going to have to simply stop the Dogs' defence, which we can break open with them. They obviously got Alex Keith, who will take Charlie Dixon, and our 4 tools have worked so well at Marvel Stadium. Giants and Collingwood, perfect examples. And I think as well, what will make it so crucial is stopping the midfield of the Dogs. You've got your Treloar, your Liberatore, you've got Bontempelli. Bont's going to do his thing. You can't tag him. So I reckon if you can nullify his influence as best as possible around the contest and restrict as much impact as possible, he can have the 30 disposals, but make sure those disposals are under pressure. Make sure those disposals aren't effective. And by that, I mean, it doesn't have to be the player that's chasing Bont or tackling Bont or corralling Bont. It can be the player down the field that is one-on-one with the forward that Bont's kicking to, or the midfielder's handballing to. It's all about the pressure act that comes after the disposal, and that is what's going to be most crucial with Bont. And I think you've got many others, McRae in there, Dunkley's around the mark, and there's so many. Caleb Daniel as well, so effective off half back, and there's so many things that are going to come into play. The Dogs have a very well-drilled team. They're very talented, and it's going to be a challenge. But I think what helps Port Adelaide the most is, as long as we start well, I think if we're in it for the whole game, there's going to be a very good opportunity for us to just have that one quarter. We have the one quarter against the Dogs earlier in the year. We kicked like 7-1, and we ended up leading at half-time or whatever, after being 4 or 5 goals down. And I think our resilience and our pressure around the ground has really improved the last month, and there hasn't been a lot that I've been able to fault. Obviously, a few supporters have been very critical about being 4 goals down to Carlton last week, and it was about the opportunity that we had, whether it was opportunity in goal, the disposal opportunity. It was all about the opportunity that the players are presented with, and this week's more of a mindset than anything. You're coming off a 6-day break, you're travelling to Melbourne, you've got to fight tooth and nail, you've got a top 2 spot on the line. There's a lot riding on this game. And if Port Adelaide pull this off, I'm going to be very confident going into finals. If we don't win and we put up a very good fight, look, I won't be satisfied, I'll be disappointed. But in saying that, it's a game for me that we don't lose anything from it. Yeah, we're going to get top 4. That's guaranteed. Yes, if we do lose, we don't get a top 2 spot. Fair enough. There's a chance we could be minor premiers again. I don't really want that with the previous form of minor premiers. I'd like to float under the radar. So beating the Dogs this week would be a prime example of doing that, because I still think if we beat the Dogs this week, we still won't be rated, because no one will think, oh, the Dogs are out of form. I can just imagine the excuses. I'm backing us in. I strongly believe we can get the job done. We've got so many good players at the moment, so many players in fine form. Carl Amon's 100th game, what a fantastic achievement for him after the story he's been through, what he was since the disease the fight and everything that he's been through from a young age to now. People wrote him off. It's just like the Port Adelaide story. It's a great Port Adelaide story. He was written off. No one gave him a chance. He's fought tooth and nail. Port Adelaide spirit's in him, and now he's shining. He's one of the best players at Port Adelaide. He's one of the better players in the comp. He probably should be All-Australian on the wing this year. And it's just been amazing to watch him grow into the player he's becoming, and no doubt he's going to get better over time in the next few years as well. He's hitting his peak, and it's great to see. And he's going to have an influence Friday night, because I think he'll be one of the better players. Run and carry will be crucial, and I'm tipping us by 14 points. Well, Paul fans, that is my preview of Port Adelaide versus the Western Bulldogs this Friday night. Let me know in the comments below what you're thinking about this week's game. It's going to be a fiery clash. I don't think there'll be any selection changes either. No one deserves to be dropped after last week's performance. And yeah, let's see how we go going to the final round. Top 2, fingers crossed. Thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe if you're new for plenty more Port Adelaide AFL content coming your way. My name is Anthony, and as always, come